Hello.
Hello there, and welcome to another picnic table ant chat with me, your host, Tom from Ants on the Rock. And today we've got a couple of guests with us. First, we're going to start with Alfie from Ants Hayward. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Hello, my name is Alfie Healy from Ants Haywood, and I started ant keeping about a year and a half ago. So yeah, that's me.
Cool, cool. Well, it's really great to have you here with us for just a quick interview today, and then we'll
Thank you.
move on to our next guest speaker. So, moving on with our first question. So, what got you into ants, Alfie?
Well, when I was a kid, I always found it fascinating how they build like their tunnels and everything, and I just like having like it's very hard to explain, but I like having the authority and stuff of having to feed them and just having a pet. Really, it's like taking care of different things. It's
Yeah,
very
that's
fun.
fair. That's fair. Okay, so have you got a dream species of ant that you would like to keep?
Yes, and I currently am keeping them, but they're not doing too well.
Okay,
Chromatogas
go
scutellaris.
on. Okay.
I,
So what's
uh,
going on with them?
well, I got them in, I think it was September, late September. In they came from Movement Ant Store. Still don't know whether she's fertile or whether she's infertile, but only time will tell. Really, I thought they brood booted at first, but there's still there's like three, I think, larvae now. I think three larvae.
Okay, so it's getting there. You just got to do
Yeah,
a
it's
bit more
good now.
time and yeah,
Yeah,
just a bit more time and hope for the best.
yeah.
Yeah,
Only time will tell.
yeah, definitely. Is there any other species that you really want that you just haven't got yet?
Yes, honeypot ants. I've always wanted to keep honeypot ants.
Yeah, they are fascinating. I've got a colony of the European honeypot ants, and
The fake
yeah, again,
ones.
they're just awesome. Pardon?
Which one, Mexicanus or the fake
No,
ones?
no, they're like a fake honeypot ant. I can't actually
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
I thought.
Proformica something or other. I cannot remember the name.
What the
It's just
golden
one.
ones? The gold ones, like bright gold.
No, not
Oh,
gold. The black. They're from Europe.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I got them from the ant lady. Actually, they're pretty cool. They're still in
The
their
ant lady
test
is
tube,
very
still
good.
doing quite still quite small a colony, but I think they're doing all right. You know, every time I look in there, there's a few repletes like absolutely filled to the brim,
Massive.
and it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I want to get one of those. What do they call them? The mini Herf things with
Oh,
the.
the light ones. The light up one.
Maybe I'm not too bothered about the lights really, but that kind of style because that gives them
Yeah.
room to hang. Because where they're honeypot ants, they really need that space to hang from the ceilings.
Well, that'd be cool to see in a video, an
Yeah,
unboxing.
yeah. Well, hopefully, things are always in the works.
Yeah. And don't know whether I think in the future I'll be unboxing praying mantises because I'm starting to get a lot into that. I actually like
Okay.
praying mantises. I was actually very scared of them when I like was a bit little, but
Yeah.
and now I actually understand what they do and how much they can grow, and it's incredible, fascinating to me.
Yeah. It's not one I actually know much about, but I have started doing some research into praying mantis because I think I might introduce them into the ant corner at some point. What I've seen of them, they are really interesting, amazing insects to watch. Really, really cool actually. So yeah, I might get one myself. I'll probably follow your lead on that actually.
Well, it depends because there's certain like species that I want to keep, like the plain praying mantis. I can't remember its actual name, but I
Okay,
think
yeah,
it's called Miomantis.
yeah,
The orchid mantises scare me still to this day because you just don't know where their face is and where they're going to attack.
yeah. There's a lot of that.
Some are very aggressive too.
Yeah, I've seen like leaf insects are sort of like
I
that as
can
well.
I was
Yeah.
gonna. I was actually second guessing myself not long ago because one of my good friends in Spain actually sent me a gift card for Amazon, and on Amazon they sell like the actual habitat for like £15, I believe it is.
Okay, not
with
bad.
the stick insects. So I was
Yeah,
thinking maybe I should get this, but then I thought the time's not right. I'm moving soon, so I'll just put it in the basket, as you would
yeah,
say.
yeah. No, that's probably a bit. My Amazon basket is constantly like a
Mine
shopping list
take
of
out, yeah, mine too. It's a disaster. Constantly adding and taking away because
yeah,
you can get some good ants on Amazon too, but it's not a good option to be fair
yeah, yeah.
because you never know.
I
Because
mean, I go
I
on.
got my Batagaster scutellaris from Amazon from Movements, and I don't know whether to trust it twice. But
Yeah,
there's also people like Best Ants UK that sell on Amazon,
yeah,
so I might give them a go next time
yeah.
and
Best
I'll
Ants
make a
UK
video.
are brilliant. Like I use them quite a lot. A lot of my enclosures come from Best Ants UK. A little bit expensive, but really good quality for what they are. Like I've
Yeah.
never had any issues, and there's just I like the curved corners of the outworlds and things like that. Just it suits me how I like it.
I would like to also share a little story on one of my first ever ant colonies I kept.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, well, it started off as just a little hobby that I had with my mum. Me and my mum saw this video on Howcast. It just came up in the recommended, so I was like, "Oh, this could be a good hobby." This actually got
Yeah,
me into ants, and I had a colony like without a queen, just like a few ants I found on my tree in my back garden. So I
right.
thought, oh, I could. I didn't know at the time you needed a queen because the instructions were very unclear.
Yeah, yeah,
So they ended up dying off, which was very sad to see. And it happens, you know. Like
yeah,
I think every beginner like ant keeper goes through something like that, where like you get an ant and you just forget some things and you're unexperienced at the time. So it
yeah. I mean,
happens with every ant keeper. But
yeah, we all make
anyway,
mistakes.
I made this bottle ant farm. I'm pretty sure it's still up the video, Howcast, how to make an ant farm. And it was like you needed 2 bottles and you made it. But silly me, pea brain 9-year-old me, thought it was a good idea to add kinetic sand to the mix.
Right.
So
Um.
at the time, I thought it was a good idea. I thought it'd be
Yeah.
easy for them to make their tunnels, but
Yeah.
it did not go so well. I think 2 workers died, so it was a bad experiment. So I put the other ants back in the tree and I let them carry on with their work.
Right. So that's something I've never come across before. Do you think it was like a poisoning situation? Is the kinetic sand
No, I
poison?
think they just couldn't like get enough moisture out of it because kinetic sand
Okay.
it just bounces off, you know, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not it doesn't merge well with water, and it maybe could be poisonous, but it was
Yeah.
like a kinetic sand mixed with something else. I wanted to add color to it, and it was a disaster. It just broke down because it gets hard after a while. So I thought, oh, they can maybe make a tunnel out of this, and I
Yeah.
started them off, and some of them I think went in and just died.
Yeah.
And
Fair
it can
enough.
also be from stress and all because when they separated, they sometimes just end up killing each other or they just
Yeah.
die from stress. So it could have
Yeah.
been both of them things.
It could. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've never experienced it. I've never done kinetic sand myself. I suppose it's interesting to see what happened. You know?
Well,
It,
it was an experiment gone wrong.
yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Yeah. Leave it like that. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Well,
And
go
do
on.
you like Ants and I? Have you ever
Yes, I
had an
do.
experience with Ants and I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
good? Because
He's really good actually.
I was thinking of buying off him too, like to
Yeah.
get my praying mantis started. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of buying
Yeah.
off him.
He's really my pink pen. He is really good. I've got my Manica Rubida queen off him and doing fantastic. And he's an absolutely great guy as well. Like I've done a bit of communicating with him, and he's just a really
Mhm.
nice guy. Means really well, wants to work hard and do good for the community. So yeah, he's a great
So
guy.
talking about like being a shop owner, I actually wanted to start my shop, but I'm still learning in business studies how to open a shop, like online. So
Yeah, yeah.
in the future, we'll hope to see an Ant Haywood stamp on the Google.
Oh
So
wow. Well,
I've got a lot of ants, Lasius Niger queens to sell off too,
yeah. Yeah.
and
Well, we'll keep our eyes open for when you open a store. I'm sure we'll give you a
oh,
bit.
the second that shop opens, you're gonna get a surprise mystery box
Uh,
shipped to your house. Don't
Oh,
you
that'd
dare
be
worry.
brilliant. That'd be brilliant. Thank you very much.
No
So
problem.
on with the next question. You've already sort of answered it with that story. The question given to me by my daughter actually is, what is your best and worst experiences of ant keeping? Like, have you made any other mistakes? Have you had any absolutely amazing moments you want to share?
Yes, in Spain, when I first started ant keeping, like I was at the pool with my sister, and we decided, and there was a massive, I think it was a Lasius grandis colony. There was having
Okay,
an
yeah,
and I was very unexperienced at the time, and I did not know that the queens that were at the colony itself that have not flew yet was
yeah,
infertile, and they
yeah,
still had their wings. I knew that if they have wings, they're not fertile, but they
yeah,
sometimes keep their wings on, so I thought it was a guess. But silly me, nowadays I would have just waited around the pools
yeah,
and look in the grass to see if there's any like winged queens.
yeah, yeah,
But that was my loss, and I ended up letting them all go and put them back because the nuptial flight was still happening at the time, so they would have got mated and hopefully have a successful colony now. And
yeah.
one of my best experiences was when I first got my Mesobarbarus colony from Ant
Yeah,
House in Spain. They were very good with me. I had a partnership going with them and everything.
yeah.
And I got it for my birthday and a massive house, an ant world. And I ended up having to move to England. That's where I currently am now. And I
Yeah.
gave my colony to one of my other myrmecologist friends in Spain. And he now has a free queen colony, I believe, in Spain, and it's going amazing.
Oh, very cool, very cool. I actually got my Mesobarbarus colony of ant houses as well. I bought the T-shaped formicarium, which I've got Lasius niger in, um, off them, and it spent like a month in the post, roughly this time last year, like middle of November, December time.
Hmm.
And then it just might have been slightly late. I can't remember, but it was cold, so I was a little bit like, I saw the ants there, and I wasn't expecting ants, and I was like, oh no, but they were all fine actually. They're doing really well.
I feel like Mesobarbarus go through a lot anyway. Like they don't really bother with cold or hot. They
Yeah,
I had
they're
mine.
quite hardy, but they can be quite a pain at the same time. To actually get a successful colony going, they can be quite.
That is very true because just as I was giving my colony away, there was going to be a massive burst in workers because I got the mushroom nest. You know, the mushroom nest, it has like a secret water thing. I got that,
Yeah,
and it started to get moldy. And my friend had all the kit to replace it, and I was just like, "Oh, you're gonna have a good time with this." Because then again, it was like £80 worth of stuff I give him,
wow,
and he was blessed because he was like a starting myrmecologist. I taught
yeah,
him everything he knew. I give him one of my ant books, and I just let him know everything. And I give him like all my ant syrups. I had a whole kit, and I just give it to him. I think nowadays he's got like bigger colonies than me. And now that we're on this topic, my Lasius niger colonies, I have a
yeah.
few at home, and I've put my mum in charge of taking care of them for the few days. I told her what to do because I'm
Yeah.
at my nan's on holiday for a few
Okay.
days. So I've put my mum in charge of keeping them, and I've got about 30 workers now. My Lasius niger, which I caught in
Nice.
August, is
Yeah,
amazing.
nice. Have they gone into hibernation, or are you just pushing through this year?
Um, I'm debating on that. It's a 50-50. I think some maybe, and the others maybe not, because some are not doing too well and they've got a lot of like pupae. So I think I'll hold off on a few and let her up, and then I'll hibernate the rest.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got some in hibernation, some in not. But my main colonies of them have actually just refused to hibernate this year. They're just carrying
Some
on
do
like
that.
normal. I
My
think go on.
Oh no, you go, you go. No, you go. You
Yeah,
started.
I think the weather this year has just been so messed up. Like,
Hmm.
because I was seeing bees like a few weeks ago, and it's just been up and down so much. I don't think anyone really knows what they're
Yeah,
supposed to be doing.
unless you have an actual like humidity system with like, like I seen a post on Facebook like half an hour ago. It was of this
Yeah,
guy. He had this thing for frogs. It was a humidity thing. I think that'd add a lot to it and then help them to push through the hibernation.
Yeah, okay. I can understand it. I mean, we're doing an experiment with ants hood, whether actually like what effects it's going to have
Hmm.
after not hibernating the colonies, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna see what happens in like a year and then a couple of years. It's gonna be a long process, but
Well,
hopefully see the effects of what it actually does to the queens and whatnot.
I was thinking of like doing sort of something like that, but I was gonna let my friend do it since he has a much larger colony, and because I've never known since do I never thought of this, but do like colonies that have been put together, like polygynous queens that have just like late been put together, do they share the same pheromones?
I think they kind of after being put together, their pheromones kind of mix, and then yeah,
Yeah.
eventually they will share the same pheromones,
Because
if you know what I mean.
imagine if you had like half your colony, like you had a double queen colony, half was hibernating and half was not. It'd be a good situation, but not the best
Yeah, yeah,
because you'd have some problems with because you can't really feed them, and it'd be a disgrace to be fair because you can't really feed them in hibernation. So half of the colony would just be asleep, and the others would just be out foraging.
yeah. I mean, well, I think that's kind of what's happened with a few of my colonies, anyways. To be honest, my smaller ones. Some of them seem to be really active, and the rest of the colony seems to be not having it. So I don't know. Like I
I
say, I
think
think this year is just a bit of a mess for them.
yeah, I think next year, like early next year, maybe in March, when I think I'm going back to Spain, I think I'm gonna take a trip down to Ant House and actually see the like factory and
Yeah,
everything. I'm gonna video that
that would be really cool. Actually, do that because I want to
because
watch it. It'd be so
because
cool.
there's a guy that I watch. He's Spanish. He's called El Mundo de las Hormigas. It's in Spanish. El
Right? Yeah.
Mundo de las Hormigas.
Right.
I'll send you the link through Messenger. But he
Yeah.
actually did that, and it's amazing what they have. They have a new factory now though, like it's in another part of Trebujena in Spain.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't wait because I'd love to go see the factory and all like the different new modules that they haven't put out yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep saying that I'm going to take a journey to go see some of these factories that are building them. Not factories, but the shops or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just really far away from me.
True, me too. I wanted to go to the one in Berlin. You know
Oh,
the
yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's in
Um,
Berlin. It looks amazing. Like all the different things on display. It'd just be
I can't
incredible.
remember. I can't remember what they're called either. But yeah, that shop is phenomenal.
It looks
What I
incredible.
told,
That's what my dream is, to be fair. I want to have a shop like that with everything on display.
yeah, yeah, that is like it's amazing. I'd love to go there myself. I've seen like people go on tours around it and stuff on YouTube, and
Yeah,
wow, yeah, blows your mind, doesn't it? Like if you can walk in, there's just ants everywhere.
yeah,
It's like an
it'd
ant
be
keeping dream.
incredible. You know, there's one thing that I can't wait for, and it's our next nuptial flight. Next year,
Yeah,
our nuptial flights are going to be insane because
yeah,
now I'm more experienced. I understand them fully, and I'm going to be ready with my test tubes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole time leading up to nuptial flight, I carry test tubes on me all the time, ready to go, cotton in and everything. They're in my bag, they're in my
Yeah,
coat,
me too.
everywhere. And like, yeah, the minute I see them, like, I was on the walk home from the gym last time, and I could see like just a trail of queen ants on the floor. I was there
Uh,
crawling on the floor, getting them. People walking past me, like, what is it
you
going
can't
on?
have shame, to be fair. You can't be ashamed if it's what you
No,
like. It's what you
no.
like.
I stood down there and explained it to several people. I was like, that's the queen ants and this and that. And I said, I've got my YouTube channel that I do
Do
it
you know what
all
my
on.
excuse is? Whenever
Pardon?
people ask what I'm doing, I just say to them that these queen ants are worth money, and they're like, "What? I'm gonna
Yeah,
start this."
yeah, that's fair.
But
Depending on what species you get, you could get
on
quite
the
a bit of
topic
money.
on the topic of nuptial flights and stuff, my mum was like, I had some money when I moved to England, and it was my first like nuptial flight in England, and I was like, it's going to be a nuptial flight soon. You know when you feel it, like after a rain, you know it's
Yeah,
coming. So I
yeah,
I ordered before like the nuptial flight. They came right on the day, and I was just ready. On the way home from the post office, I just had all my test tubes. I was like, oh look. there's Lasius Flavus just on the floor. I'm just gonna pick her up, sorry. But I haven't seen many. I've only found Lasius Niger and Lasius Grandis this year. I didn't see any. Actually, I found a Manica Rubida queen, but she was infertile, which is very disappointing.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
I only got Lasius Niger and Flavus this year. But I stopped. There was loads going on. I just had to stop myself.
Me too. The only reason I did is because I ran out of test tubes.
Yeah, I just know. I know my capacity at that whole ant corner's it's a little bit up and down. Like, gotta move things about occasionally.
Never have too many ants.
Well, no, you can never have too many ants if you've got a big enough space.
True, very true.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of also building, like, when I get my house, when I move, I was just thinking of making a whole room dedicated to just ants. Like, have posters everywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to do exactly the same. What I'm planning with my next place, but I won't go into it. But yeah, that's always. I think everyone's got that dream to have a whole room dedicated to their ants. Yeah. And
I was also thinking of having like a corner for praying mantises, another corner for like mealworms and feeder insects and stuff. It's going to be insane. The future is going to be incredible because, like, I'm turning 16 in about like 2 years, so I'll be able to start making money and stuff, and it's just going to be incredible, and I'm just going to just enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a great knowledge to start with to go into it at a young age. You're going to be, by the time you're my age, you'll be flying. Yeah,
thank you. But I remember a few like months after I started getting really into ants, I started making this book, and let's just say I finished it. It was about 100 pages long, and in my school, my biology teacher was amazed because there was stuff in there that even he didn't know.
Yeah, I bet.
About brood boosting and stuff. So in front of the whole school, I had to get up and do a whole presentation on them. And I feel like everybody in that school had an ant flag. Like them little pole flags.
Yeah.
So everybody stood in them up, and it was just incredible. It was a good experience.
That is awesome. Right, I'm afraid I'm going to have to wrap up the interview there because we're going to have to move on to the next guest speaker.
No problem.
If you want to go ahead and say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. I had fun being on this stream. It was a good experience. I highly suggest doing it again.
Brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant having you. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing some of your ant keeping experience.
No problem. Thank you. See you later, Tom. Bye, guys.
See you again soon.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Jason. Welcome to the Picnic Table Ant Chat. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for all our viewers?
So I'm Jason. I'm an ant addict. I've been an ant addict for about 2.5 years. I think it all started when I bought a nest with some free ants for my son from Ant House in Spain, Mesa Barbarus.
There you go,
We had a go at that, and I did really badly. I did better than I should have done, but it was pretty shocking. I didn't do any reading. I just put the sand in this in the sandwich part and just threw them in and expected them to thrive. And I think it lasted about 6 months, and then they killed the queen. So,
okay. 6 months is still a good long time.
It wasn't bad, but by then I kind of got it annoyed me that I wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna have more of a go at this. So it's kind of snowballed from there, really.
As it does, for all of us.
To the point where I'm kind of sat in my ant cave at the moment. Kind of surrounded by them.
Yeah. Well, that's like we were just saying. That's like every ant keeper's dream, isn't it? To have a room just full of ants.
Well, work gets in the way, but because it's my office, but it's half office, half hobby room. So that's
the best office decoration Is ants
There you
and
go.
plants.
So
Okay, so what have you got? Want to show us around?
So at the top, I've got Phenagaster dulcinea.
Nice.
They are probably the world's most boring ants.
Okay.
I've had them for quite a while. They're really, really slow, or have been really slow for me. And they don't really come out the test tube very often.
Okay.
So, you know, they're not the world's most exciting ants, but we'll persevere with them and see if we can grow those up to a decent size.
Yeah.
These two here, I've just done these kind of little naturalistic setups because again they weren't doing very well. I've got an Ontomatus Odonta panera transversa in there, and she wasn't doing very well in the test tube. Seems a lot happier in there, more heat, more humidity, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm not even going to pronounce that one. That was
You're doing better than I am.
That's
You're doing amazing.
Pachycondyla astuta.
Right.
So,
okay.
Again, I'm quite into Ponerine ants. I like the kind of more primitive ants that have smaller colony sizes, because obviously I've only got a limited amount of space. So
that makes sense.
Keeping leaf cutters in this room would be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah,
I love these. I've just bought these from Anseros, the Diacama ruginosum. I was asking you about questions about them.
The bullet ants.
They've gone a bit funny because I've provided this lovely little hybrid nest here. But they're digging in the limited amount of substrate that they've got. They seem quite happy.
Love natural setups. That's what my ones are in, and they absolutely love natural setups. I think they just enjoy digging.
I am thinking I'll leave them be for a while, let them get settled down, and then I'll probably take the hybrid part off and try and get them in a bigger natural setup, because obviously that's not very big and it's not got enough digging. But they've gone underneath the moss that I've got at the back, and this is an experiment that I've got down here with bumblebee millipedes. Nice. Again, I bought those. I haven't seen them.
No.
I put them in there. And
what size? What size are they roughly?
Oh, they're juveniles. They're probably about 2 centimeters.
I put mine in, and they were really small like that. I didn't see them until they were probably 2 or 3, about that long, quite long, 2 or 3 inches, 4 inches long. A lot of growing underground before they surfaced at all. But now I do see them quite regularly. There was one out for an entire day just roaming around. But it's usually at night time as well, they'll come out.
I was looking forward to kind of having them roving around while I was working, because I like watching boring work. I hope nobody from work actually watches this video, but I spend more time kind of studying the ants than I do paying attention.
I get that. I was going to say something about the bumblebee millipedes. Oh, cucumber. Have you tried putting cucumbers in?
No, they've only got dead leaf litter in there at the moment, and I've put a bit of dried fish in.
Fish flakes.
Nothing. My isopods are doing a lot better than those, but the millipedes, they're just a bit boring for now.
If you try cucumber, they might come up for that. I try and place it against the glass, and that way you can see when they do come up. And the other thing, no, I can't remember. Completely irrelevant, probably.
I might try them on a little bit of veggie, lettuce and stuff like that. See if they come up for it. But
just see if you can draw them out.
And the other side, this is my kind of larger colonies. I've got Polyrhacus in here, which I've just expanded into the new ant boy tube.
Nice,
basically I've had a massive die off with them, so I don't know what's happened with the environment, but they've not liked something.
Something, yeah.
In there, and I don't really want to start taking it out. They seem to have stabilised now, but yeah, it's really worrying because they've been doing so well.
Yeah, I know that.
And it's really disheartening when you're doing really well and then something knocks them back, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, my Polyrhacus dives, they quite like they can put up with quite a lot, but the slight thing, like if the water level gets wrong and they're too wet or whatever, they just leave. They just
and they don't half like taking their dead around, don't they, Tom? You know.
Oh yeah. Right. So when mine were in the smaller tank, it was, I don't know, that big or whatever. They would just carry it round for days. Yeah. So I actually would get my tweezers and take the dead bodies off them because I didn't want them exhausting themselves from walking around too much. Now they're in the larger tank with the water. They carry their dead to the pond and chuck them in there.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I've been doing, I spoke to you about it, didn't I? A few weeks back, and I've been doing that, but there's been too many of them.
Okay.
But yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. You cross your fingers and hope. And it didn't help that I got a heat mat on the back that had dropped off.
Oh, so okay. That would make a massive difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it got really cold, and I didn't realise. I it's been so stable, and I've got all these lovely little fancy pants.
Thermometers
that way.
Yeah.
These little Bluetooth.
They're
Bluetooth
cool.
things. I buy them in bulk from China. They're about £3 each.
Oh wow.
And basically, it will record the temperature.
Yeah.
Not like the standard ones. You get an app and it will tell you what the temperature's been over, an hour, 2 hours a week, a month. And I hadn't really checked it. It's been so good. It's like, it's fine. And then you kind of get a situation like that where it's like,
whoops,
kicking yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the same. I've done the same myself. I didn't, when it was getting colder, I didn't put the heat mats and things back on fast enough, basically. And I didn't actually have any issues, but I definitely came close. Like I looked at the thermometers, which, like you say, because it's normally stable, I don't tend to look. And one of them said like 19 degrees or something.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Time to get the heat cables on, heat maps on, heating on.
Get the hot water bottle out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the room itself is still like 20-something degrees. Like it stays at 26 degrees generally, but the corners and like the areas where some of the ants are do get a little bit colder.
Yeah.
So I just, like you say, you got to monitor it sometimes and just get out of that. What do they call it? Complacency.
You get a bit complacent sometimes, and I think it's one of those lessons that you learn quite quickly. Is you check, just check. Check again.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to just
once every now and then
pick your thing up. I'll look around, see if there's anything untoward, and I've also got a really strong colony of Nikos that I've got in these lovely little Chinese heated nests. They're absolutely amazing. All self-contained, so they'd be really good for the honey pots.
That's exactly the sort of thing I want. That's really cool. That's what
I can share the link with that. With everybody, but they're about 40 quid for the Outworld, and
that's not bad.
And the kind of nest,
but
they're heated. You just set the heat, plug them in, and leave them. And honestly, they've been absolutely top notch.
Okay,
little water reservoir here to keep the humidity up if you need to do the humidity, but they don't like it. If I put water in there, they all kind of move out. So I watered it yesterday, and you can see they're all well, there's quite a lot of them in there.
Yeah.
In the outworld, but normally if you don't water it, they're quite happy, and they'll all be in the nest. And I got my trap jaws at the top here.
Nice trapdoors.
I'm not sure how they're doing, to be honest, because they're I see a lot of them, but I had a big die off of those when I first put them in the enclosure, and I was like, oh my god, they're all going to go. But it ended up they've ended up kind of being quite happy now. So
I think I've heard that a few times with trapjaws. They don't like being moved about, I think. Right? People just tend to have big die-offs when moving them, and then they make a recovery again.
I think the thing is that you don't get too stressed out about it. Just put them in, leave them alone, try and create the best environment that you can for them, and then and normally if you haven't killed the queen, they'll find their own. Find their own kind of level at some stage. But I think the biggest mistake I made when I was first started ant keeping was killing them with kindness. You're fiddling and you're feeding them, and you're giving them big piles of food and sugar water and that every 5 minutes, and it doesn't work. The less you fiddle with them, the better, really.
Yeah, definitely. One of my colonies, the one which my daughter owns, Lasius niger, right? So I got that Lasius niger at the same time as another Lasius niger, and I already had the colony of Lasius niger. Right, so there's three colonies already on the go. This one's got a head start. Her one, which got fed less often than mine, and like she would do things like once a week she'd add carbs, once a week she'd add protein. She kept them in the dark, whatever. Didn't ever look at them. Whereas like you, I would, do this, do that. Hers are just flying, absolutely hundreds and hundreds, and mine are just like in the 50s, maybe, like completely failing, like not failing, but nowhere near what.
Not strong now.
Yeah, and it's like. All right, Amy, you beat me there. Well done. And she doesn't let me forget it either. She's like, "Oh, my colony's doing better than yours.
I'm a better ant keeper than you, Daddy."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if you caught the mini interview I did with her earlier in the week, just for a bit of fun. But I chatted to her about her ant colony, and she does know her stuff. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
And she also knows now that fire ants don't breathe fire. Yeah. I like when I first got my ants, she thought that was the case, but no, I've had to.
My son was like that. He said, "Oh, don't go near the fire ants, Daddy. They're dangerous." And I was like, "No, they're not dangerous. Don't put your hands near these ones and these ones here. They're the ones that will give you a nasty sting. The Asian bullet ants and the transversa as well. They're supposed to be quite pack quite a big sting."
Yeah, so I've been doing research into the toxin produced by the bullet ants. You can actually buy it, which is quite worrying. Like, you can just buy little pots of this stuff. It will like mess you up for weeks. Like, because obviously there's a chance I might be getting stung by them at some point.
All right, you're going to try do that thing where you give yourself micro doses of it to try and get the.
No, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to let them sting me. I'll put up with it. I've had worse things done, but it like messes with your nerves and like really, it's proper nasty stuff. Makes you sweat, can send you like contorted, whatever the word is. Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff. So be careful with that one.
Yeah. Well, these are. I don't think they're like wasp stings or bad wasp stings, rather than like the proper bullet ant, the South American bullet ant stings. That you see all these crazy guys going on TV and getting purposely stung by it. I'm also quite into acorn ants as well, but they're in the cellar in the fridge downstairs, having their little winter sleep. But they're, you know, I buy the little mini vortex outworlds from Antboy, and I've done a couple of little naturalistic setups for those, and hopefully they'll kind of kick off next year. They've not done much this year, but I got them quite late, so we'll see what happens.
It is a colony I've looked at as well, acorn ants. They're just interesting, aren't they? Because they're just so different to other ants.
Yeah, and you can, you know, you only need a hair gel sized pot, to keep them in, and you know, they don't take up an awful amount of space.
Which is
provided you're a bit sensible with, you know, making sure it's absolutely airtight and you should be fine.
I might venture into it.
Yeah, do it.
I got to convince the wife.
Well, she wouldn't even know. Just put it on the side. Like a little pot of food or something. And she'll never know.
There the whole time. It was there the whole time.
Yeah. I get walnut shells. I just put walnut shells in, you know, instead of acorns and that, and half pistachio shells, and just put them in a small layer of substrate, and just let them go at it, and they seem, you know, quite happy in those.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, they are. You know, I've got 3 of them. They're all kind of slightly different, but the same. Yeah. And they look really nice on the shelves, you know, especially when you've got the light on. I quite, you know, kind of like sitting there and kind of watching what goes on. Yeah.
I mean, like, I could sit here for hours watching the tanks. I do sit here for hours. Speaking of which, right, so when we started the stream and I did the live feeding, I was expecting the dives to go absolutely nuts. Now, there's probably around 50 or so ants out at the moment. They're just running back and forth along the highway bit that I built. I have a feeling they're going to start building in the little crossover section there. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to watch for the next few days. They might not, but the way they're running about, and they're like
satellite nests, though, don't they?
They're not overly paying attention to the food that I put out, but the level of activity, they're definitely up to something. Yeah. Don't know what. That baby crab, so cool. Have you seen the baby crab video?
I have, mate. You know, if I had the room, I would look at doing something like that. You know, so I'm trying to be as naturalistic. I've gone from being somebody that was very acrylic and modular. You know, I'm going to keep them in this, and it's going to be nice and clean. To somebody, I now think that it's better if you don't go the whole hog and give them a great big tank. At least make what you give the ants a little bit more interesting and a bit more homey for them, you know, as far as you can, as you know, as where as an ant's concerned, but
enriching their lives. So
I mean, yourself and Ryan at Antscapes are a real inspiration. You know, you look at some of the setups that you two have done, and it's like, oh yeah, that looks fantastic. I mean,
Antscapes, I can't remember what it was called, but really recently he's done this big square looking build and waterfalls are absolutely amazing. Like,
he's a very talented man. He's online, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, he is. I just saw that he's there. Yeah, Ryan, that is absolutely amazing. I haven't had a chance to comment on it properly yet, but stunning tank, amazing. I want to know what you're going to keep in it though. Probably frogs or something.
Is he typing?
I don't know. He might reply in a minute. We'll wait and see. We will wait and see.
You don't know. It might end up keeping the baby in there.
He's there. He's there. Bless him. He had a baby. Well, his missus had a baby not long ago. So congratulations to them. Everyone's having babies at the moment. Don't know why. I'm not having any more. I've done my part there.
Me either.
Yeah,
I've got a quite a big one for sale if anyone's interested. I'll swap it for
Mr. Mance.
Swap it. I'll change his room into a leaf cutter room. I'm sure my wife will like that.
Yeah. Well, it's the dream, isn't it? It is always the dream. Antscape says dark frogs, crested geckos, or vampire crabs. Oh, he doesn't. Okay, that is a hard one. It is a hard one. You should do like
be on his Patreon feed anyway. What do you want in there?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. No, yeah. Right. So I've got a few more questions here. We've actually pretty much answered all the questions that I was going to ask. So I'll just kind of let the chat flow. Have you got any advice for beginner ant keepers?
Yeah, don't fiddle.
Yeah.
Try. I know it is really difficult, you know, when you get ants and you're very excited and you want to be watching, you want to be checking on the progress. Is just let them get into a state. You know, it can take a whole year of just leaving them alone, or you know, interacting with them minimally until they get to a stage when you kind of put them in their own nest, or you know, or in a bigger setup, and then you can start observing them and watching them. And you know, when you can feed them in an outworld properly and you're not kind of rolling the test tube around or you know, disturbing them too much, then you can have the fun. But the first year, you know, is just or as long as you can, just keep them in the test tube and keep them dark, and don't fiddle.
Yeah, 100%. That's like, I think that's the best advice to give to all beginners. Patience is the main thing, isn't it?
And research as well. You know, there's so much good information out there.
Every species is different in some way, you know.
And if you don't know, I mean, I've got some what they're called, gatekeeper ants. And I can't find much information about those. Just ask, you know, if just go on a Facebook group, you know, there's 2 or 3 really good ones out there, where people will give you all the advice that you need, or point you in the right direction. There's tons of YouTube content out there for people. Just do your research. And normally before you get the ants, not, you know, don't buy them and then do the research and find out that perhaps you know that they're not quite right for you.
I think you're right.
Of that as the next person, you know. And I've lost loads of queens over the past 2 years where I've been a bit over ambitious or not really knowing what I'm doing, but
jumped in.
Yeah, and I've scaled back my ambition now as well. You know, I did have about 30 or 35 colonies and queens on the go at one stage. And it's just like, no, that's silly. I haven't got the room for them when they go bigger. And it was when the Nico started getting bigger that I went, oh, actually, you know, I need to think about this, because if that happens with all of them, then I'm probably going to be looking for a new wife and a new home.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Like, I could buy all the ant colonies in the world, but having the actual space for them when they grow is a whole nother matter. Like with my big multi-species tank, the dives are just going to keep growing and growing and growing, like hundreds of thousands potentially, and I'm going to have to upgrade their tank, and that's going to be a big job. I've got plans for that already going, and I'm looking into it. It's going to cost thousands, but we won't go into that. We won't tell the wife. But so like you say, you just got to be prepared for that next step, because they're not always going to be in these small containers, and it's not always going to go right for you, is it?
And is it, you know, the first time that you put your ants into a nest, you know, when they truly are ready to go into a nest, and you see them, you know, kind of feeding and that, it's very satisfying. It is a very satisfying feeling.
It is. It's a great feeling, actually, like knowing that you've done that.
You've done
The
it
best,
well.
yeah, exactly. Especially if you've had it just from the Queen, like literally just the Queen,
Yeah.
straight from nuptial flights. If you've managed to raise a colony all the way to a successful colony, yeah, mate, it's a great feeling, isn't it? Knowing
Yeah,
that you've done a
definitely.
good job, yeah. And like you say, if you can enrich their lives, and like I say, you can kind of tell if the ants aren't happy. Do you know what I mean? They kind of mope about and whatnot.
Yeah,
And when
or
you,
they start digging at corners, or or
yeah,
you can see them trying to get out of where they are,
yeah,
and you kind of
that's
know
it.
either it's an expansion time
They're bored.
or the board. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Like any other pet, a dog, you'd give it a toy, or
yeah.
anything needs some bit of enrichment, and yeah, definitely.
Maybe there's a market for ant-sized Jenga or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
That for
It
you,
got
didn't
me
it, Tom?
thinking. I was something, I can't remember who showed me, but someone's put a whole doll's house in their ant outworld, so all the ants go about like this little doll's house and whatever.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
Yeah, is it Ansford that's got the tanks and all that lot, the army tanks and things in his
Yes,
in his
he
setup?
does. Yeah.
There's loads of people out there that have unusual type things in their setup, and it all adds to the interest, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I might try something like that soon, because I always do kind of natural, like make it look like
Yeah.
I've got a few other things in my mind because I want to move away from what I've done a lot of already. But we'll see. I'll probably end up doing exactly the same as I've always done.
But maybe it's a challenge for Ryan for his next build. Get something stupid in one of his in one of his setups. Something completely unexpected.
Yeah, well, me and Ryan were actually talking about doing a sort of build off at some point, so maybe we should do that with a theme. Maybe I think me and Ryan
would be a good fun thing to do. Like
I
don't know,
think
an aquarium
we need to chat
theme, or a Barbie house, or something stupid like that.
Yeah, something stupid. Yeah, or what was it? I thought of one a while back for millipedes actually. Getting like a little play park made in the middle, and you know what I mean? It would be like one of those 80s black and white films. Yeah. Oh, it'd be brilliant. So I've got another question here, and this one is a bit of a big question, can raise a lot of interesting feedback. What do you think of live feedings?
It has its place. I don't necessarily agree with people showing them on YouTube channels. I think, personally, I don't think it's there for a spectacle. I think really, if the ants need it, then give it to them. But it's safer anyway. If you're kind of pre-killing your insects, you put them in boiling water, or you're freezing them or whatever. It kills off any potential nasties. But where you have got species, I mean, the only thing I do is I live feed fruit flies. But anything bigger than that, goes in the tank in a state where they can just consume it. It doesn't. But saying that, there is the occasions where you think that you've killed it, and it's like
it comes back,
and the crickets jumping around like there's no tomorrow.
I had one of them come back to life once, and like it started fighting back and eating the ants, and I was like, oh no. I got in there and finished it off rather quickly, we could say.
I got that. Now I use boiling water basically, and do it that way. But when I first started, I didn't realise that was a good thing to do, so I was kind of dispatching them in other ways, and I won't get into the graphic detail. But you put them in the tank, and then they pop back to life. But that doesn't happen anymore. But I think it's more humane for both the ants and the feeder insects as well. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, Ryan's just replying. They would love to have a swing and rope in there too, and like climb a flame. Yeah, I think me and Ryan are going to have to chat about this idea a little bit further because, yeah, we're going to have a build off at some point. We were meant to do it ages ago. I think Ryan actually did his, and I was just so busy at the time. I failed completely and just didn't get it done. So
Yeah, but you're at an advantage now, Tom. Ryan's gone very quiet for some reason. You know, he's not as active as he was.
well,
You know?
yeah, for some strange reason, we won't go into the crying thing. Yeah. Oh, what's this? Oops. Stay here. Okay, chat's just going really random there. Have you got any other dream species that you wish to keep?
Do you know what? I don't. Like I said, I like the primitive ants.
Yeah.
I really wanted the Diacamas, you know, the Asian bullet ants. I got those. I ummed and ahed, and I was like, oh, do I need another tank? Do I need to keep those? And I've got those. And I got the trap jaws that I wanted as well. So for me, you know, I'm not.
You're happy?
I'm happy. Yeah, leaf cutters, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, they're really interesting. But, you know,
big commitment.
The commitment and the space and things that you need are kind of beyond my capability at the moment. I do like the thought of the honey pots, and that may be something I look to in the future. But at the moment, I think I've got a nice level of colonies on the go. I think, you know, if anything dies off in the next year or so, I don't think I'll replace it. I think I'm just going to try and stick with what I've got and see what I can do with the ones that I'm looking after at the moment.
I think that's a really sensible answer. Really, really sensible. Yeah. Fair play. Right. Well, I'm going to end our interview there. It's been absolutely amazing having you on the stream with us, Jason.
Thank you very much, Tom.
No, thank you. Do you want to say goodbye to all the viewers?
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, listening. Yeah, been a pleasure talking to you, Tom, and it's nice to actually talk to people about ants. You know, it's my guilty little secret normally. And I mention it to my friends and family, and it's like, you're a bit weird, aren't you? But it's really nice. But thank you for inviting me, and thank you for letting me have a chat about it.
No problem. It's been great having you on here, and we all just love chatting ants. Like I say, guilty secret for all of us. Me telling the guys down the gym that I keep ants and stuff, and yeah, exactly the same. You know, they just kind of a bit weird. All right, whatever. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Jason. I shall leave you to it now. Thank you very much.
In the words of Ryan, peace and love.
Okay, so that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you all for joining. I'm here for another few minutes. If you've got any questions of what I've been up to or anything, feel free to ask them now. Next week we have ants, and I've got a big list building up. So next week we have ants and pets joining us for our next stream, which is going to be absolutely amazing again. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see you all there. Great to see something. Yeah, it was a really good stream, actually. I really enjoyed that. It was nice to have a couple of people on as well, just for a bit of a quick fire thing. So I mentioned about the baby vampire crabs. So cool. I've been getting quite a bit of footage with them. So what have I been actually with my hand? Been getting quite a bit of footage with the vampire crabs. Just because they're so amazing. They're like tiny and just really, really cool. Apart from that, not a lot's been happening with the ants. In the last week or two, nothing major's really happened. Obviously, the dives are on like a mission to do something at the minute. That tank's just exploding with chaos, and yeah, there's, like I say, about 50 or so eating the roaches. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's about 50 or so eating the roaches, but they're running back and forth all over the place at the minute. So I don't know what they're doing. We'll have to wait and see. The Diacama, they're not really doing anything special. No, none of my ants are really doing much at the minute. Some of them in hibernation, some of them have just got really slow and, I don't know, not doing a lot. Manuka rubida. Actually, I can talk to you about my Manuka rubida. So the Manuka rubida were doing really, really well. And then I considered moving them. In the end, I decided not to move them, strictly because they were kind of walking around outside of the outworld and they just seemed like they were a bit bored. They just needed more going on. So I decided not to move them. What I did was I added a load of fake plants at the back of their enclosure, just to, as we said earlier in the stream, give them some enrichment in their lives. I've had a bit of a die-off, so I think I was on about 12 workers. I've definitely seen 6 bodies come out, which is quite surprising. I don't know if the numbers are coming back up, or because I refuse to look into the test tube, especially when we're having a die-off. So, yeah, I'm just waiting to see if they start coming back. I'm a little bit disheartened by the 6 dead because I'm not doing anything different. I literally haven't changed anything apart from plastic plants, which, you know, that shouldn't be killing the ants at all. I just don't know what it is. I might have a look in the test tube at some point. I probably won't. I might be tempted to move them into like one of those all-in-one units. I don't know. I just don't know what to do with my Manuka rubida at the minute, actually. Yeah, so if you've got any suggestions for that, give me a comment, get in contact, let me know. Like, the idea was I was having a nest sent to me for them, but that's a long old story. It hasn't happened. I've got quite a few nests spare, so I could use one. I don't know. I'm just chatting ramble. What have we got? Yeah, the start YouTube channel. You probably should, to be fair. You probably should, Jason. So if anyone is on Twitch, feel free to check out the Ants on the Rock Twitch stream, because we only have like 3 followers on there at the minute. It'd be really cool to get a few followers on the Twitch and get that spreading about as well. Don't forget, you can check out these as a podcast after I upload it a couple of hours after we finish the stream. You'll be able to check it out on Spotify. Check out Ants on the Rock or the Picnic Table, and that should bring it up straight away. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else that you'd want to go check. Antscape says, Tom, before you go, how many babies did you get? I don't know. So I know there's 1, but I don't. It's hard to say, right? So I've seen 1. If you imagine there's 1 here, there, and the rock's like, hang on, we've got to do this right for the camera. So that's the rock face. I've seen 1 at the bottom of the rock face where the waterfall is down here, right? And then the big mother's been up here. I'm pretty sure I saw another one up here. So it could potentially be 2. They normally come in batches, between like 5 to 10. You know, you normally get more than just 1. So there could be potentially a few in there, but I think the ones that I'm seeing are like in the second phase of growth, because doing my research, they're actually smaller than what I can see there. So if they're in their second stage of growth, they're probably doing their first stage hidden, then they'll molt, and then they'll come out and start foraging only at the water's edge. They're not going far yet, staying very close to the crevice where I believe they've been born. And the mother's basically just sat there behind the whole time, which is really, really interesting, actually. Yeah, it's really interesting that they're quite good parents. I didn't know how they would. I know crabs tend to like lay their eggs and then just bugger off generally, don't they? But these tend to, like, the mother is definitely staying around the baby crabs, and yeah, I should do more research into the behaviors of the mother crabs. But it's been really interesting to watch it. You know, I hope I've got a few. I hope I don't have too many, because then I'd have to do population control. I do have a spare tank that I could set up for them, or Ryan, you might end up getting some in the post. I'm just going to go back through things. Thought the Rubida and the Ruba are nearly the same. You did well with the Ruba. But yeah, so Ant Ramblings, yeah, my Ruba, they're doing really, really, really well, actually, like amazingly well. I'm going to be upgrading their nest very soon, I think. But the Rubida's just, I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to get them into a nest, really, just so I can have a look in a bit easier, see that everything's going on, that they've got larvae and all of that lot. And then I can just monitor it a bit better. When I buy nests, I tend to buy nests with monitor spaces all inbuilt, just because I do like to have that little bit of reassurance that I haven't let it dry out or whatever. I don't know. I just can't tell you what's going on with my Manuka rubida. Also, did I know if there was a pond liner, so you think they would tell it? See, right, so Ryan, you're asking about the pond liner. The pond liner is actually just what do you call it? A bin liner. It's literally just a bin liner, so it's really thin and easy to tear. But by the looks of it, they've burrowed along the sides of it and not actually torn through it. But the way it's designed is it only lines a certain area, and they can dig in front and behind it very easily. It's kind of complicated to explain it without like a 3D model of X-rays and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that they've basically gone up and over it in the spaces that they've come into contact with it. I can actually see one of the vampire crabs is just walking about on the land right now. Quite cool. Very cool, actually. I'm tempted to whip the camera over there. If he comes this way, I'll whip the camera over there and we'll all have a look. But yeah, so I've lost my train of thought completely now. No, gone. Where are we going? Where are we going? Oh yeah, so the cave that I originally built for them, which is under the big rocks at the front, goes back like the rocks are like that long, like the length of my hand, and the tunnel goes right back, like almost under the water feeders that I give the ants and stuff. It goes right back. I'm pretty sure they did cut their way through the separating layer and into the drainage layer. My brain is just frazzled. I'm absolutely sorry, everyone. My brain's just frazzled. I think they cut their way through the separating layer into the drainage layer because they definitely bring out more gravel out of both of the larger lower down caves. They've been bringing out gravel quite routinely, so I know they've broken through into the drainage layer. Slightly irritating, but they're crabs, so I'm not too concerned about them being submerged in the drainage layer. If it might cause issues with the substrate, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, Ant Ramblings. Manuka rubida is the slightly larger fire ant species, if you want to call it that. They're larger than. I'm going to get mixed up now. Larger than Rubra, but not like massive. Basically, they sting a bit harder as well. Right. Well, there seems to be someone in the chat. We'll just do that. And now you're gone. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't see that yet. I just need, yeah, pond liners. Pond liners is just like a thicker plastic, basically, isn't it? But I don't know. Yeah. Sorry about that. I was reading comments further up, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, not him. He's gone. We don't want people like that in the stream. But has anyone got any more questions that they want to ask me about anything? I did have like a whole list of things that I was going to talk about, but you know what my brain's like when it gets frazzled, it's absolutely gone. Well, the dives are doing pretty well, still eating a lot. I was thinking about getting a liner like crayfish potentially would. Yeah, I'm gonna get. All right, see you later, Big Boss. It's been really great having you here again. I think I will end the stream in a matter of a few minutes. How are the dives coming along? See, the dives are doing really well, even though they lost a queen a month or so ago. They seem to be doing really well. Actually, I've seen the other queens just walking about. Like, I don't know why, but you know, like it's quite funny because like the nest just explodes with energy and excitement, and then a little queen will come wandering out, and then all the ants just kind of tell her to get back, and she'll wander back. But I do quite regularly see the queens wandering about at the minute. I think they go from like the higher chambers to the lower chambers on the outside now, because like I don't know if they've built like the way they've built the nest. It's been like they put a layer there with like a entrance hole or whatever, and then they'll slap another layer on top with like the airspace for them, and then I suppose they'll use that hole to go through and but now they've got layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. I think what they've had to do is like make more entrances and like go from one end to the other to get into different sections. It's more like a maze than a like civilized house, whatever. Yeah, it was actually a really good stream tonight, wasn't it? It was great to have a couple of different people on. I enjoyed that. Nice one. Yeah, it was really good to have you, Jason. Thank you for joining us, and we will speak again soon. And I am going to end the stream there. It's been really great chatting to you all. Thank you all for joining me for another Picnic Table Ad Chat. Don't forget to join me next week for Ants and Pets. That's going to be a really interesting one, actually. And we've got lots of amazing people lining up on that list now. So make sure you're still signing in every week. Would you get more ants next year? Me, possibly. I've got a few ideas of things that I'm going to do, but we'll leave it at that for now. Right? I'll get to that when I get to it. But yeah, it's been absolutely amazing being here. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Twitch and Facebook and all the other social media platforms that we're now on, because there's different content on all of it. And if you want to support this, then feel free to hit up the Patreon page as well. You get sort of extra perks and stuff like that. So it's really worth a look at, and it helps improve the quality of the streams, basically, and everything else that I do. But that's all from me. So as always, I'll see you again, Ant fans.